The Dakota Access pipeline leaked 84 gallons of oil in South Dakota early last month, which an American Indian tribe says bolsters its argument that the pipeline jeopardizes its water supply and deserves further environmental review. The April 4th spill was relatively small and was quickly cleaned up, and it didn't threaten any waterways. The state's Department of Environment and Natural Resources posted a report in its website's searchable database, but it didn't take any other steps to announce it to the public, despite an ongoing lawsuit by 4 Sioux tribes seeking to shut down the pipeline. Brian Walsh, an environmental scientist with the agency, said Wednesday that the state doesn't issue news releases on spills unless there is a threat to public health, a fishery or a drinking water system. He said there was no such threat with the Dakota Access leak, which happened nearly 100 miles east of the Missouri River's Lake Owe Reservoir, which is the tribe's water supply. We realize Dakota Access gets a lot of attention. We also try to treat all of our spills in a consistent manner, Walsh said. We treated this as we would treat any other 84-gallon oil spill. The leak occurred at a rural pump station in the northeast of the state as crews worked to get the 4-state pipeline fully operational, Walsh said. The oil was contained on site by a plastic liner and containment walls and quickly cleaned up. Some oil-contaminated gravel will be disposed of at an area landfill, he said. Such incidents have happened with other pipelines in South Dakota, and the Dakota Access leak didn't come as a surprise, according to Walsh. The state is happy with the response of Texas-based pipeline developer Energy Transfer Partners and won't issue a fine, he said. Size-wise, an 84-gallon release is pretty small relative to a lot of other things we work on, Walsh said. I would characterize it as a small operational spill that was cleaned up right away. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe, which was the initial plaintiff in the lawsuit, said the leak proves that the pipeline is a threat to its water and cultural sites. These spills are going to be non-stop, Tribal Chair Dave Acambold said. With 1,200 miles of pipeline, spills are going to happen. Nobody listened to us. Nobody wants to listen, because they're driven by money and greed. Tribal attorney Jan Hasselman said the leak shows the need for more environmental study of the pipeline, which will move oil from North Dakota through South Dakota and Iowa to a distribution point in Illinois. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers had planned additional study but scrapped the idea after President Trump earlier this year pushed for completion of the pipeline that had been stalled by months of protests and lawsuits. Energy Transfer Partners maintains that the pipeline is safe. Spokesperson Vicky Granado issued a statement saying the spilled oil stayed in the containment area as designed. No other spills have been reported along the pipeline in South Dakota, according to Walsh. A federal spill report database does not show any reports from Energy Transfer Partners or its subsidiary Dakota Access LLC in any of the other states through which the pipeline passes. Granado didn't comment on whether there have been any other problems as crews get the pipeline ready to be fully operational by June 1. The Indigenous Environmental Network, which helped organize large-scale protests against the pipeline in North Dakota last year and earlier this year, issued a statement saying the fact that this occurred before Dakota Access even becomes operational is all the more concerning. A leaky surge pump along the Dakota Access oil pipeline spilled 84 gallons of crude oil in April at the pump station just north of Crandon in Spink County. That's according to Brian Walsh, an environmental scientist with State Department of Environment and Natural Resources Groundwater Quality Program. The pipeline, which will move oil from shale formations in western North Dakota roughly 1,170 miles to Patoka, Ill, is not yet operational. In north-central South Dakota, it cuts through Campbell, McPherson, Edmonds, Fork and Spink counties. According to Dakota Media Group Archives, the pump station is on 10.59 acres of land in rural Spink County that Dakota Access purchased February 3, 2016, from Donald Jean and Rita Mary Massat. Crandon is southeast of Redfield and east of Tulare. At the pipeline's pump station there's what's called a surge tank, which is used to store crude oil occasionally during the regular operation of the pipeline, Walsh said in a phone interview with the Dakota Media Group Tuesday. And connected to that tank is a pump, which pumps oil back into the pipeline system, and the leak occurred at that surge pump. Richard B. Kuprawicz said pipeline pump stations are typically built in such a way that oil releases stay within the station boundaries. He is a pipeline infrastructure expert and incident investigator with more than 40 years of energy industry experience. The releases in the pump station are better than having it on the main line. It sounds like it occurred during the process of commissioning the line, Kuprawicz said. As far as this happening during the startup, I don't want to make it sound like a major event, but the fact that you had oil leaving the tank says there's something not right with their procedures. They might have been trying to hurry, he said. The cause could also be due to human error, he added. It shouldn't happen, but if it did happen, at least it happened in the pump station. They need to figure out why this happened, Kuprawicz said. Vicky Granado, spokeswoman for the Texas-based developer Energy Transfer Partners, said the spill was due to a malfunction during the line fill process. Before a line goes into service you have to fill it with crude oil first, she said. Granado said the line fill process should be finished within the next few weeks and the pipeline should be in service by June 1st. Walsh said all the crude oil was recovered through absorbent materials and was contained in drums, then put back into the line. Dakota Access was responsible for cleaning up the spill, which it has done, he said. The state will not fine or issue a citation against the company since the spill was reported and cleaned up within the required time frame, Walsh said. The spilled crude oil, which is roughly equal to 2 barrels, is a very small amount compared to the 470,000 barrels of crude oil the pipeline is designed to carry in a day. The whole pump station is lined because they have some above-ground pipeline infrastructure there. So if it does leak it makes it easier to clean up and safer for the environment, Walsh said. Granado said the spill stayed within the company's workspace, or containment area, which is covered with a special lining that does not allow anything to actually touch or hit the soil. Some gravel was removed from the spill site and will be taken to the Brown County landfill after sampling of the soils is finished, according to Walsh. The Brown County landfill routinely takes deliveries of contaminated soil from throughout the region. Once the state receives the paperwork for disposal and spill site samples, the case will be closed, Walsh said. This is the first and only spill in the state associated with the Dakota Access pipeline to date, he said. South Dakota officials are looking into a small leak along the route of the Dakota Access pipeline that spilled 84 gallons of oil. A pump connecting the pipeline to a crude oil storage tank in rural South Dakota leaked the oil sometime in April, Dakota Media Group reported Wednesday. The oil was captured by absorbent material at the site and put back into the pipeline, officials said. The state won't fine the pipeline's operator because the spill was reported and properly cleaned up. A spokesperson for developer Energy Transfer Partners told Dakota Media Group that the malfunction occurred during the process of filling the pipeline with oil. That line fill process should be completed by June 1st, when the 1,170-mile pipeline is due to enter into service. Energy Transfer Partners did not immediately reply to a request for comment from the Hill. The spill, which was limited to Energy Transfer Partners' workspace at the storage site, is a minuscule amount of oil compared to other spills. It's also the first spill associated with Dakota Access in South Dakota, according to the report. But it comes at a time when the Dakota Access pipeline is under intense scrutiny from tribes and environmentalists, who have fought to prevent it from entering service. The 1,170-mile pipeline is designed to deliver up to 470,000 barrels of crude oil per day between North Dakota and oil facilities in Illinois. Tribes near the pipeline route have said a spill puts drinking water supplies at risk. Environmentalists took up the cause last year and launched nationwide protests against the pipeline. The Obama administration moved to effectively pause the construction process for a critical stretch of the pipeline, but President Trump reversed that decision and allowed the project to move forward. The Dakota Access pipeline leaked 84 gallons of crude oil at a pump station in South Dakota last month, according to state documents, just weeks before the pipeline is set to start commercial service. The spill, the equivalent of 2 barrels of oil, occurred on April 4 in Tulare Township in Spink County, according to South Dakota's Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. The $3.8 billion project drew environmental protesters from around the world after the Standing Rock Sioux tribe said the pipeline would desecrate a sacred burial ground and that any oil leak would poison the tribe's water supply. Energy Transfer Partners, the company behind the construction of the pipeline, received approval from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in early February after months of delays. It is currently line filling and will be in service on June 1. After the April 4 spill was reported, recovered oil was put back into the system. Any gravel or soil that had oil was cleaned and disposed of, said Brian Walsh, an environmental scientist with the agency. The leak occurred some 100 miles, 160 kilometers, east of Lake Owie, a part of the Missouri River system that has been the focal point of the protests. "This is what we have said all along, oil pipelines leak and spill," Standing Rock Sioux chairman Dave R. Campbell II said in a statement on Wednesday. The tribe is involved in a lawsuit challenging the project. The 1,172-mile, 1,885 kilometers, Dakota Access line runs from western North Dakota to Patoka, Illinois, where it will link up with another pipeline to bring shale oil from North Dakota's Bakken Plate to the Gulf Coast. An Energy Transfer Partners spokeswoman, Vicki Granado, said the spill occurred during the pipeline's commissioning activities. She added the spill occurred in a containment area, so there was no impact on the wider area.